point simply being that's probably what's causing the increase because it does record a lot.
We've seen the same thing, and I attributed it to, on a brand new site, a lot of activity, but also the logging we had turned on really heavily. The transaction logs, which for us, for every 2 hours or 4 hours, were 100 times the size of the nightly dump, the nightly full we were taking. And so we're actually probably going to switch just to fulls throughout the day a few times.
One thing you need to be very sure of, you can't copy a SQL database file without shutting down SQL. So if your computer guy is telling you he's copying it, you might want to double check that you're even getting the backup.
What a lot of people do is they do a backup and copy the backup file.
That's right. That's
or
right.
you
can't just go in and copy the MDF file. And so if because we have a lot of customers who use SQL, and I can't tell you, probably once a month I get someone almost in tears because they thought they were backing up their SQL database and they weren't. And it's a bad feeling. I mean, literally, grown people just, whole businesses, 6 months gone.
And from now on, if you have a cool shirt, you have to stand up so everybody can read it.
I saw beer.
I love that shirt.
Thank you.
So, what else you got?
Yes.
Just
if I have an existing site that's not a .NETNuke site, I want to add a .NETNuke installation to it. I want to keep all the original pages, so let's say they're static HTML pages, but I want to add a few .NETNuke pages. Is that possible using the same URL?
Are they
the same domain name?
Are they HTML pages?
yes, there's
Yeah,
Are they ASP pages?
there are ASP pages. So.
Okay. That causes a problem.
yeah, the HTML one causes a little bit of a problem. The way I've gotten around this, and this is actually not the best way to go. The way I've gotten around this is HTML pages. You start sending the HTML to the ASP.NET process, and it's because what you need to do is be able to 301 the original pages so they're going to the right place. But converting a standard website, this ASP or ASPX, converting that website to .NET, no problem. A little bit of work, but no problem. It's really easy, but a lot of work. With the HTML, you have to make sure that they're going to the right place, and then for .NET to handle that, you either have to want to do one or two things: leave the original HTML pages out there, or well, actually, two things. You can actually 301 the HTML pages through the header, but that's not as reliable as doing it through the server, sending server tags through. So sending the HTML through the ASP.NET process will allow you to do that. With the .NETNuke has something really cool called the site URL. What's it called? A friendly URL setting, but it has a site URLs log or config file where you can put all that stuff in there. That in conjunction with the what's it called? There's a response filter. What's it called? Do you remember what that's called? Right above that in the host settings, there's a request filter, a response filter. But in there, those two in conjunction, you can actually 301 those pages through your .NETNuke site without having to worry about any coding or like write the URL provider or anything like that.
Let me see if I can get your question a little bit better defined. Are you saying you have HTML pages or are they ASPX pages?
It's a full-blown website with HTML and ASP pages.
Okay, so it's a combination of them.
And here it is.
So basically, ideally, what I would like to do is to somehow, and I don't know if it's possible at all, to prevent .NETNuke from trying to handle all the existing pages.
It's really, really hard. It's DNN likes to be in its own site.
If it's just HTML pages, you can do it.
Yeah.
But with the ASP pages in IS,
You can put it in an iframe. You can take those pages and put it in an iframe.
You can take the HTML content and put them on a DNN.
What I was going to say,
likes to be in its own.
Reside in its own directory with its own kind of directory space.
Yeah, you have to be careful what you add to that directory.
I would suggest that you think about converting those pages or something.
It's a lot easier than.
Because I think it would cause you less trouble in the long run.
Yeah.
And you do that, and once it's done, you can just do a cut over to the DNN side.
How many HTML pages are we talking?
No, that's a huge site.
Well, the HTML is not that. Once again, the HTML pages are not going to be a problem as far as I'm concerned.
What he's doing with the ASP.
It's the ASP pages
Yeah,
that are going to cause you a
That's
headache.
really not an option.
You got to make modules for this.
Yeah, because the IIS will just give you fits over there.
Because basically, our situation is we have like an existing site, okay? That is not a .NET site. We have an additional site, additional domain name that's a .NET site. But we've been creating like a user updatable pages basically that are .NET pages. But since the domain name is different, you know, that's...
Well, just why don't you do a www.1.domainname.com?
I was gonna- Yeah, I was gonna say, make it a subdomain in there, that would work. You can do that.
That's actually a great
Okay.
solution. I like that. So we
So
also,
I was just gonna say, his question is the perfect answer to your question. Why would you wanna go with .NET?
Okay.
So you don't have to do it later and figure out how to take all of that. Do it right from the start.
that's true. I mean, like in module development earlier, Stan mentioned putting localization into your module in the very beginning. You know, that way you don't have to go back through and go figure out what needs to be localized after it's all done. You know, do it right the first time. It's worth the investment.
And there are so many modules that are built into DNN, and if it's not, there's modules on Snow Cover for $20 that does all the functionality that you might want to need to do, you know, but like a frequently asked questions module, Xmod, so you can do a bunch of custom forms. I mean, there's so much out there.
And it's really not hard to create a module. If you looked at what we flew through today, you might think, boy, I have trouble doing that. But I really think the idea of what we were trying to get across is that you won't have trouble doing it. We wanted to give you an idea of what could happen, what the hooks are. Because realistically, we assume you know how to code, or you've got people that do or something. Coding is not the issue, it's the integration. Integration is not that hard. There's just rules you have to learn to go by.
Yeah. The thing I wanted to show here is doing the friendly URL. That's one thing, but to do 301s, you can enable request filters and add a rule. And this is actually something that Mitchell Sellers just blogged about recently. Really, really cool. When you add the rule, something's supposed to happen. That's not happening right now. Anyhow, you can specify a page, and then you can say, you can put the header in there for like a 301 or something like that, so you can use this for some reason.
And another thing you should think about as you're going through this process is that you can, if you're using IIS 7, there's now a URL rewriter built into that.
Oh, yeah.
That you can use. And if you're still using IIS 6, there, I've forgotten the name of it now.
URL rewrite?
Yeah, that's it. It is very
Where I
easy to
snap and
allow you to
rewrite.
remap everything to your current pages as you put them on your .NET. So that works as well. I think you've been waiting for a long time.
Well, that's okay. It's sort of a clarification of a further question. So it sounds to me I have the exact opposite problem. I truly do have some hardcore ASPX application pages that, if did I hear right, they could be embedded within an iframe within.
What's
I whatever you found out.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
yeah, Brian Sharp, in his session, he mentioned I don't remember the name of the module. Was that OpenSmart? OpenSmart. They have a module that, I think that's a company, but that may be the module name. But they have a module where you're able to import a user control, and it actually becomes a module in .NET. So you don't have to, that and iframe can buy you time while you actually make those modules. Now, that being said, that's a really important question. I've been to a client who didn't know how to use .NET. And so what they did is,
This is why I asked.
what they did is they didn't really know the power of modules and what could be done, module settings, all this stuff. So they ended up creating a module for every specific instance of needing to touch data. And in some cases, it was something that even the HTML module could have taken place of. Now, you're going to think I'm exaggerating. They had over 600 modules on their DNN install. Now, if you've ever been to the DNN modules page where it lists them out, that thing would take at least 60 seconds to come up. So that's something you don't want to do. What you want to do is if you decide to go that route and you make all those modules, look for all the common denominators and make as few modules to handle all those transactions as you possibly can. Because otherwise you're going to hate life later.
I would not recommend putting ASPX pages in an iframe for a long-term solution at all.
Yeah, and like I said, that's just buy you time.
I could not recommend.
Well, what the follow-up to the question, what does that do to SEO? Probably blows it right out of the water.